And that covers 6 different destinations. So for the cost of a poolside cocktail, you get 6 different itineraries that you can run with, essentially just before or just after the peak prime time to visit a destination. You're listening to the Coastal with Kelly podcast, your go-to podcast for waterfront travel destinations, coastal living, and ocean-friendly businesses. I'm your host, Kelly Dabrowski. Let's dive in. And what better way to welcome back everyone to the podcast than with a plane going overhead? Sometimes I feel like the microphone picks it up and other times it doesn't. But for anyone who is tuning in for the first time ever, my name is Kelly and welcome to the Coastal with Kelly podcast, where we talk all about waterfront getaways, living in a walkable waterfront city, kind of anything that has to do with the water and with the coast and travel. And to kick off 2026, I thought we would start by talking about 8 ways to travel more for less. We're going to start by talking about leveraging long weekends with PTO. I'm actually going to grab my phone because I want to run through the dates that everyone should try to take off in 2026 in order to maximize your PTO. Okay, so in January, the first one is coming up this weekend, January 16th through 19th. You would only need 1 day of PTO because we have MLK Day off. Most people have that off. So that would be 4 days of vacation. That would be perfect for a road trip. I do have some road trip recommendations, but I have lots of guides and travel guides that you can look at depending on where you are to try and find a more local trip that you can get away. Next is in February. We have February 13th through 16th. That's 4 days off, using only 1 day of PTO. May 22nd through 25th, you can use 1 day of PTO to get 4 days off. June 19th through 22nd, 4 days off, using only 1 day of PTO. July 2nd through 6th, so it's the perfect time to do like a New England getaway for 4th of July. September 4th through 7th, that would be 4 days off for only using 1 day of PTO. Are you sensing a theme here? October 9th through 12th, that would be 4 days off for only 1 day of PTO. Now we're getting into the larger clusters. November 21st through 29th, you could get 9 days off if you use 3 days of PTO. And December 24th through January 3rd, 11 days off by only using 3 days of PTO. Obviously, all of this is making kind of assumptions about what days you have off and how many days you have off. So the goal here, I'm obviously going to list all of them up here. The goal here is really just so that you have an opportunity to take as many days off, use your PTO. It is part of your benefits package. Do not sleep on using your PTO. Use it this year. Okay, number 2 is using a travel credit card. This does play into whatever your credit score is for whether or not you would qualify, but I find using a travel credit card very useful. I just use it for everyday purchases. So anytime I'm getting gas out at the grocery store, dining, there are lots of benefits that vary by credit card. I've been using the Chase Sapphire card for multiple years now. I want to use it for travel all the time, but using the points system through the Chase app, I find the app is really easy to use, really easy to book flights through it, really easy to book hotels through it. I mostly have used it for flights because that's something that I love not having to pay cash for. So if you are looking for a credit card this year, I have linked it below if you would like to look at the options with that, especially if you're going to be using a credit card anyway. You might as well get one that either gives you cash back or gives you points for travel. So credit card, highly recommend looking into that in 2026. Number 3 is leveraging tech to find the best flights in 2026. I would start honestly with the free version, which is just using Google Flights. So you can set reminders to get notifications when prices drop. You can also use it to look and see if when you're searching for flights, it's higher than normal, lower than normal, or kind of in the middle. It's like the average flight price. For example, my husband and I, we've been together for 11 years, coming up in February. So we're planning a quick little weekend getaway. And so even that, initially we were planning to go directly on the weekend that we'll be celebrating, like on our actual anniversary date. But knowing that the flight prices are actually about $150 more for no reason the same weekend, we may be going a week before or a week after just so that we can not spend extra cash if we don't have to. And that's only because I saw the Google Flights tracking showing me that, hey, it's going to actually be more if you book that weekend. So just keep that in mind. That's a free way. There's also some paid programs like Thrifty Traveler is one that you can pay an annual fee and they'll directly notify you when you have a change in price or just really good options that they see. And they'll also give you a notification for, oh, we think that this will only last for a couple days, or we think that this will last for, for a longer period of time. But I do have the link down below if you would like to sign up. Number 4, I know some people are probably going to roll their eyes when they hear this one, but number 4 is road trips. If you already own a car, please take more road trips in 2026. I think that it is such an underrated form of travel. I think that listen, I love to fly. I love any excuse to go far, go fast, and be up in the sky. But it's so underrated to travel locally. I think that especially if you're like me on the East Coast, really it's the same thing on the West Coast too. You just can't go to as many states as quickly. But living on the East Coast, especially where I am, You can get so many places under 5 hours. It's one of the cheapest ways that you can explore for like a few hour radius from your home, especially if all you're paying for is gas, and especially for a day trip, right? Then you don't even have to pay for a room to stay at. Don't discount road trips and don't discount just single day getaways. I always look and feel my best after I've spent about 3 days in the ocean, and when I can't make it there, I reach for Osea. Their key ingredients are sourced from the ocean, so after using their luxurious products, you end up feeling like you just got back from a seaside spa. If you're also excited to support a woman-founded ocean-positive brand, use code CWK10 to save at checkout. Number 5 is considering not only hotels, but also vacation rentals. I personally use VRBO often if I'm booking. And if you are looking at hotels, you can also look at hotels that have some sort of kitchenette so that you can save a little bit on dining out. So just keeping in mind that booking either a hotel or a vacation rental that has a place that you can prep some food. So if you are trying to be more mindful with your spending on travel so that you can fit more trips in, that's an easy way to just nix some of that extra cost. Number 6 is traveling in shoulder season. If you have not heard of shoulder season before, it's essentially just before or just after the peak prime time to visit a destination. Simply Google shoulder season destination, so wherever you're going. So shoulder season Charlotte, shoulder season Charleston, right? So wherever you want to go, just look up the shoulder season so that you can save a little bit of money. Also, you'll have fewer crowds, which personally I find makes for a better travel experience because you're not fighting as much with people to try and get where you're going. And this was something that we really saw when we lived in Galveston. I see it here in Alexandria too, especially we get a lot of school groups here in Alexandria. So you notice the difference when you're walking around town during that peak school season when we have a lot of tourists versus out of season. So like right now, there's hardly anyone here because fewer people visit in the winter. I personally think that it's still a beautiful time to visit. But when we lived in Galveston, that was especially obvious because Galveston is a prime destination for people in central US and a lot of other people from Texas come to visit. And so we noticed a huge difference, especially like, oh my gosh, like 4th of July weekend was insane trying to get anywhere. It normally would take us about 15 minutes to get from our house to the historic district. 4th of July, Ryan and I were like, oh, we're going to go get some ice cream. Like that just sounds like a really great little treat. And we decided to just turn around and go home because it was too much and like not worth the hassle. So again, shoulder season is a great way to go explore the area, save cash, and save some of the stress that you would normally get when you're traveling when everyone else is too. Walking around in heels usually isn't on my list when visiting a historic city, but with convertible heels, it changes the game. The heel block can unlock from the shoe, so you can turn these into flats to navigate the city safely. There's a flat cap you can put on, and then put the heel block back on when you get to your destination. Use code KELLYD to save 20% at passionfootwear.com. Number 7 is a little bit surprising because mostly what I've talked about so far is saving money. But I think another thing that we need to consider is how we can also save time. So accessing travel guides and itineraries that people have already created for you is an excellent way to do that. I know that I love perusing people's itineraries. I love asking my friends for what they've done on their trips. You have a skeleton you can work from and then add on anything that you want to do that they maybe didn't do or didn't get to that they wish they did. So if you already follow travel creators, obviously myself included, take a look at what people already have, one for free. Most of the time you'll find it in people's highlights. Sometimes you'll find it in very specific itinerary posts, or maybe they have a travel blog that you can look at. One example that I recently launched is my Coastal Concierge Guide, and this is my guide to 6 different destinations. It's really to highlight the hotel or resort that I stayed at. But not only do I cover the actual hotel, I also give you a full itinerary for what you can do once you leave the resort. And that covers 6 different destinations. So for the cost of a poolside cocktail, you get 6 different itineraries that you can run with. And it gives a ton of examples of things that you can do, whether you're looking for adventure or to just kind of chill out, whether you're looking to take in some of the natural beauty, and what things that you can do when it's raining. There's a bunch of options. So look for recommendations like that. I obviously will have mine linked down below, or you can scan the QR code to get access to that now. And you can use discount code podcast so that I know you came from the podcast to save a little bit if you do decide to purchase that. And number 8 is kind of similar to what we were talking about before with leveraging tech to save costs on your airline tickets. But really, you just want to honestly just follow your favorite airline. So whether it's your actual favorite airline that you love to fly, or if it's the airline that your departure airport is a hub for. So for example, when we lived in Galveston, Southwest, we had a hub for Southwest. Now that we live in Alexandria, DCA is our local airport. And so American Airlines is our hub now. So once you figure out, again, whether it's your favorite airline or just the one that makes the most sense for you to fly based on where you live, or if it's one that you have a credit card for. So again, we also have the American Airlines card because we fly American all the time now that we have the most options with that. You want to watch that airline for when they drop sales. So Southwest is kind of notorious for doing this. They always have some sort of deal. So like their companion pass they've had in the past. Southwest, as of today, when I'm recording, there's one more day to take advantage of the sale they're currently running. Southwest Bucket List to Boarding Pass. Some of their flights are $59 one way. So it's just a really great way to kind of book some of these last minute winter getaways while you have that sale going on. So you want to take advantage of those sales. So again, Southwest is pretty notorious for it. They host a bunch throughout the year. Other airlines also offer deals. So I know American has offered them in the past. Depending on the airline, just monitor the one that makes the most sense for you. Honestly, too, you can sign up for their apps or sign up for their email lists if you are not already on those, because then you'll get notified when there's some sort of a deal. I also recommend just having an account with each of the airlines that you fly. I know that it can be beneficial to book through something like a Kayak or other savings platforms to book your flights, but obviously you can kind of circumvent that if you choose to book through a Kayak but use a travel credit card. That would be another option to still earn those points. And with all of that said, I'm also not a points expert. It's something that I would like to get better at in the next year because I would like to try and fit in as much travel as possible. So that's another reason that if you do not have a travel credit card yet, I would highly recommend it for 2026, just so that you can start learning the ropes. And I'll link some more resources down below on where to learn how to become better at leveraging points in 2026. And we can kind of figure it out together. But those are my top 8 ways to travel more for less in 2026. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Coastal with Kelly podcast. If you would like to leave a request or recommendation for a topic, I do have a form down below that you can fill out. If you love the podcast, it would mean so much to me if you could leave a review. I can't wait to hear where you go first this year.